G'day there guys, it's Connor here once again from Marquee Industries, and we're back with some more stories from Reddit. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe and all that stuff, and let's get straight into the stories. Okie dokie folks, we're on relationships. This one was written by user OKDress, and it's titled, "My girlfriend keeps pushing me to try non-monogamy and asks why I won't compromise when I push back. We're both 27 and have been dating for 10 months. My girlfriend Lucy is bisexual and has always been open with me about her kinks and fantasies and bringing in other people. Male, male, female, male, female, female, male, male, female, female, and so on. Features high on her list. I'm pretty vanilla by comparison. I never guilt-tripped her or shamed her when she opened up to me about these, but I always made it clear to Lucy that they were a bit above what I could provide, and that in particular I would never be comfortable bringing another man into the equation. About 6 months into the relationship, Lucy suggested that we have a male-female-female threesome with another woman, and that she would be happy to arrange it. I was a little apprehensive about this initially, as I didn't want it to be used against me as a bargaining chip further down the line, and so constantly checked in with Lucy, asking if she was sure it was something she wanted, and that we would be doing together. Not long after the threesome took place, Lucy suggested that we visit a garden party together, which we did, and at which we only played with each other. She also suggested reaching out and meeting other couples involved in the scene. My understanding was that we would be befriending couples who were also dipping their toes in the water with garden parties and such, and have people who could accompany us to these kinds of events as friends. We matched with another couple on an app and met up with them a few times for drinks. Earlier tonight, Lucy called me and hit me with a curveball. She said that the past few months she had been feeling unsatisfied and unenthused by our sex life. This really caught me off guard. I knew that Lucy was more adventurous, and I thought I'd been doing a decent job of accommodating this, the threesome, the sex party, and talking to another couple. I was hurt by this revelation, but I did my best to find out from Lucy what it was she felt was lacking and what we could do to fix things. After a bit of probing, it became apparent that she wanted us to experiment with male-male, female-female, non-monogamy, flirting with another couple, playing truth or dare type games with them, ideally some form of swapping, etc. All things that would make me uncomfortable and which I just can't ever see myself doing, and yet which are extremely important to Lucy. I asked Lucy if there was anything else at all we could try in order to meet in the middle. The subject of toys came up, but it was pretty apparent this was a mere sideshow. Lucy got a bit crappy with me at one point, insinuating I wasn't being open-minded enough, asking how I knew that I wouldn't be into what she was asking, that the situation is unfair, and that I'm not willing to compromise, even though she is the one instigating all of this whilst being fully aware what my boundaries are. After a bit of back and forth, it eventually dawned on us both that we were staring at the end of our relationship. I told Lucy I was hurt by the revelation, but that I was still thankful that she spoke up, that she needs to do right by herself and not compromise on something if it's important to her. At this point, Lucy became tearful, asking if this was the end, that this wasn't how she expected the conversation to go, and so on. We ended up saying goodnight after promising we'd have another chat about it later. I'm writing this now, having just gotten off the phone with her. I'm pretty gutted. Being told out of the blue that your partner has been unsatisfied and unexcited isn't a particularly great thing to hear. I think this is probably the end of Lucy and I, as I don't see myself ever entertaining the scenarios she wants us to partake in, and even if she agreed to bury it, there would be the risk of this coming up again at a later date. Since I started writing this, Lucy has been texting me, pleading with me to compromise. I'm trying my best to explain to her that the boundaries she is asking me to compromise on are hard ones, and which would very likely lead to me getting hurt. But the topic of compromise keeps coming up. Not sure what to do. I would appreciate any advice on how to navigate this, and if things might possibly be salvaged without major boundaries being crossed. Thanks. Yeah, Opie said it himself, I think. These are hard boundaries, deal breakers in other words. She's completely in denial if she thinks this is something you can compromise over. Let's go to the comments. Her idea of compromise is you doing everything she wants now and in the future. Do not compromise on something that will affect your mental health, and believe me, buddy, if you get to see her being screwed by another man, you'll take a long time to get over it. You two are not compatible, it's just that simple. What's the compromise between monogamy and non-monogamy? There isn't one. You can't do half monogamy, it's all or nothing. You're doing alright. You recognize your sexual and relationship boundaries and have done a good job of enforcing them. You two simply are not compatible. You are not comfortable with non-monogamy, and that's fine. You should focus on taking care of yourself as the relationship ends. Ex-poly person here, and whether or not you're monogamous is not something you compromise on. You need to both be enthusiastically consenting to it, or it will be a nightmare. While unfortunate, you two are sexually incompatible. It's not a bad thing, it's just a thing. It would be no different than if you were an omnivore and she's a strict vegan who insisted all food eaten around her be vegan as well. Salvage? Yeah, not really an option here. If she surrenders her open lifestyle, she'll resent you. If you surrender your monogamous lifestyle, you'll resent her for pushing you into it. That will lead to arguments, dissatisfaction, and an eventual end to the relationship. You might as well end things now while you're still in somewhat favourable terms with her. Opie replies, "Well put, it's an intractable problem, which is why it needs to end. I don't resent her or think she's a bad person, but man, I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable being intimate with her again after what was said." Yeah, a bit of a peek into what Opie's thinking of doing, I think. Okay, Opie makes an update on a separate subreddit 2 weeks later. A few weeks ago, I posted in another sub about my situation with my girlfriend, Lucy, nudging me to try forms of non-monogamy that I wasn't comfortable with and claiming I needed to compromise when I pushed back. The consensus from comments on my post was that the relationship needed to end as her and I were clearly sexually incompatible, but deep down I was adamant that things could be salvaged somehow. Not long after our initial conversation, I explained to Lucy why her actions were wrong, pushing against my boundaries despite my repeated saying no, and she apologized to me. She suggested that we go away and write lists of activities that we would or wouldn't be comfortable engaging in, and seeing where we could find common ground or meet each other in the middle. It seemed reasonable. The other day we sent each other our lists. Lucy was clearly disappointed with mine, as I more or less ruled out partaking in all of the ethical non-monogamy activities that she suggested. I made it clear that I was willing to partake in monogamous activities from her list that she enjoyed, example toys, but that didn't seem to really cut it for her. "It is what it is," she said on the phone with a sigh, her tone of voice one of clear disappointment. "I'm the one who's losing out here. You get to keep everything you want to do, but I don't really get anything. It's fine though, OP, it is what it is. I can just suppress my desires and keep them in my head." I really disliked her insinuation that I was being obtuse or selfish for not willing to compromise on my boundaries, and I asked why me being willing to try the monogamous activities she outlined didn't seem to count as meeting her in the middle. "It's got to be spontaneous and I want my partner to enjoy it too," she said, which struck me as odd. I can't snap my fingers and suddenly change my enjoyment of or attitude towards a particular sexual activity. I explained to Lucy that she was the one who told me a few weeks ago, with pretty stinging words, that our sex life was unexciting and unsatisfying for her, and that even after our list comparison exercise, the options for fixing this were clearly pretty limited, despite me being willing to give certain monogamous things a try. I told her that I now have all these ominous thoughts, such as, is my partner ever going to be sexually satisfied by me? Is she going to end up resenting or cheating on me, swirling in my mind? And that some kind of reassurance that these fears were misplaced or that we could work through this would really help me. She immediately clapped back with, "Well, what about me? What about all the things I'm having to give up?" That really got to me, and it reminded me of our previous conversation where she'd basically showed no regard for my feelings with her constant nudging up against my boundaries. I felt myself getting angry and knew a shouting match would just make things worse, so I abruptly said goodnight and hung up on her. Before I went to bed, she sent a barrage of texts explaining that she was upset by the situation, that she wanted me to feel more remorseful because of all the things she now has to suppress and keep in her imagination. She also expressed that she felt unappreciated for having to bury her sexual desires for the sake of the relationship. This sat really uncomfortably with me. Why on earth would someone need to feel remorseful for not wanting to risk their own mental well-being just so their partner can feel sexually satisfied? That I need to appreciate her for this horrible anxiety about the relationship I now feel? If Lucy and I were in a dead bedroom, or I was completely closed off to trying new things, I would understand, but not wanting to take part in ethical non-monogamy? I had said to her before that I was sorry that she felt like she was losing out, but insinuating that upholding sexual boundaries is something I need to show remorse for is honestly pretty horrible. My head is all over the place. I, perhaps naively, hoped that things between her and I could be salvaged by comparing our respective lists and working with the overlap between the two, but if anything, it's just made it even more apparent that her and I are sexually incompatible, and frankly her way of handling the whole situation has really upset me. I feel like, as in my last post, she has no real regard for my feelings, and is just angling for the outcome she wants, this time with lousy attempts at guilt-tripping. I don't think I can ignore the writing on the wall this time. I care about Lucy a lot, but I hate how she keeps pushing and breaking me down like this, and her general lack of respect for my feelings and me as a person. One comment says, "She's trying to manipulate you into getting what she wants. This is a huge flag to part ways. She's made it clear she wants this regardless of your feelings, and that her holding back is a favour to you. All it will take is one nasty fight, and she will give in to temptation. Whether she tells you or not is up for debate, but it likely will happen. Her mindset isn't on making a monogamous relationship work. She's more interested in exploring with you as a safety net. Spare yourself the further pain and heartbreak." Another commenter says this: "She probably already has someone in mind, to be honest." Opie replies, "To add a bit of context, Lucy is really interested in playing with other couples in a male-male, female-female type setting. I am not, and when explaining this to me was adamant that this was only something she wanted us to do as a couple. Now, I obviously don't want to explore that, but I doubt that this thing is a pretext for her going behind my back and being unfaithful. Famous last words, I know. That said, the damage has obviously been done. After multiple conversations with her, it's apparent that our sex life is always going to be unexciting and unsatisfying for her, unless I capitulate on this, and I don't want to be in a relationship where my partner makes it clear our sex life is something that they're settling for, to say nothing of expecting me to somehow be grateful or apologetic for this." Sounds like she's either interested in trying the swinger or poly lifestyle, or is poly. For you it's a hard no, and that's okay. Her wanting to is also okay. It could just make you incompatible. Monogamous people trying to be poly and vice versa usually ends with a lot of suffering and hurt feelings for everyone involved. Whatever you do, I wish you the absolute best. And now for a final update, the same day. Lucy and I have broken up. I broke the news to her yesterday, first via text. I initially told her that we needed to talk on the phone, but she insisted that if it was to break up that I just tell her over text, and then confirming it on the phone. She was super tearful and kept insisting that this was all just a giant misunderstanding, that she was sorry for how she had behaved and that she would never hurt me, and that she's happy in our relationship. It was really hard hearing her so upset, but I stood my ground. To be honest, I felt like she was backpedaling on things she'd said earlier and downplaying how important the activities she wanted to try are. They are things that she had expressed interest in repeatedly very early on, and so can't be dismissed as passing fancies. I told her I appreciated her apologizing, but the damage was done. I can't be in a relationship with someone I'm clearly sexually incompatible with no real chance of fixing it. This was obviously for the best, but it still hurts. Lucy and I are giving each other some space. We had an upcoming trip together, and I have a few of her things at mine, so we'll have to meet up eventually to sort a few things out, and maybe clear the air. And so I'll need to be strong, and make sure I don't cave in. Thank you, Reddit, for hearing me out and advising me. It means a lot. Yep, sensible ending that, while hard I'm sure, is for the best. And there's no hatred between the two, it sounds like, so yeah, it could have been worse, I suppose. A couple final comments. I'm glad they broke up. Non-monogamy is up there with having kids as something couples can't compromise on. If you aren't on the same page about it, you have to part ways. I hate it when people try to frame someone knowing what they want or need as not being open-minded. I almost never hear that phrase outside of people trying to coerce someone into sexual activity that they already made it clear they don't consent to. I kept reading this, and Lucy is a selfish person. Why date someone who clearly isn't into non-monogamy? Glad Opie ended things. Alrighty folks, we're going to leave that one there. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Either way, we're moving on to another story. Righto, we're over on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Candid Plankton, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend not to go to a wedding with his ex-girlfriend? For context, me and my boyfriend Sam have been together for a year and a half. We broke up last summer for 2 months, but got back together. During our break, Sam met up with his ex-girlfriend Rachel, whom he had dated for 4 years prior to our relationship. They only met up once and nothing came of it. However, Rachel still has feelings for Sam and was hoping they would rekindle things. Rachel was enraged and threw a fit whenever she found out that me and Sam got back together. She sent him a lot of really nasty messages and continued to do so for several months afterwards, even though he never responded to her. Rachel and Sam both have mutual friends who are getting married. They were both asked to be bridesmaids and groomsmen in the wedding. In February, Rachel asked the bride if it would be okay if Sam did not have a +1 for the wedding because, quote, she wouldn't be able to handle seeing him with anyone else. Whenever Sam found this out, he immediately contacted both the bride and groom. They assured him that Rachel's request would not have an impact on the decision for a +1. Since then, she has still continued to try to reach out to Sam, including going as far as contacting me via Instagram regarding the upcoming wedding. She started to harass me and even admitted that contacting me was for her own self-gain. In April, me and Sam were both invited to the engagement party. Of course, Rachel was there, but we were having such a great time that we barely even noticed her existence. At 3 a.m. that night, Rachel texted Sam yet again, degrading both of us. She told Sam that he was not going to be getting a +1 to the wedding and to not make a fuss about it like last time. I found the comment odd because invitations had not been sent out yet. Why is she the one telling him this instead of the bride or groom? Regardless, Sam finally responded to Rachel and told her to never contact us again. Fast forward to the present day. Sam got the wedding invitation and it did not include a +1. He contacted the groom and the response was that they had to prioritize other couples who have been together longer, lived together, and or who both know the bride and groom, due to the budget. I know 100% that a wedding should only be about the bride and groom and what they want. If they don't want Sam to have a +1, that's their call. I'm not entirely convinced that Rachel did not have a part in the decision. She's a lot closer to the bride than Sam is to the groom. So, am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend not to go to the wedding without me? This would mean he would have to drop out of being a groomsman. The only reason I feel uncomfortable with him going is due to the relentless harassment about the wedding by Rachel. If she had been respectful and left us alone, I would have no problem with him going without me. However, that was not the case. She's continuously disrespected me, my boyfriend, and our relationship. She has no clue what a boundary is. I just want this to be over. Yeah, definitely seems fishy that Opie didn't get a +1 here. Let's go to some comments. Not the a-hole. I could also imagine that the bride and Rachel decided this together, or Rachel convinced the bride and the groom now has to go along with it for the sake of peace. Either way, I couldn't trust Rachel or the bride either. Talk to Sam about this. What's his opinion? Did he trust his friend about the reason for the invitation? Maybe he should talk to his friend face to face about this. Opie replies, I brought that up to him because he previously told me the bride wears the pants in the relationship and the groom just does whatever she wants. My boyfriend did start to see my side. He did ask the groom to call him yesterday so they could talk, but he never did. Wait a minute, a groomsman without a +1? Yeah, Rachel and the bride are probably in on this. If Rachel is more important than the groom, that says a lot. Sam should tell them he's opting out of the games, not the a-hole. Opie says, yeah, I thought it was a little weird that my boyfriend is in the wedding party without a +1, while couples not in the wedding party are being prioritized based on the amount of time they've been together and if they live together. I get other couples should be prioritized if they both know the couple, since I only know the groom. Not the a-hole. They 100% excluded you due to his ex's drama. If he stays as a groomsman, he's basically consenting to all of this nonsense. He should let them know that he's disappointed in their stance and quietly inform him that he can no longer be a part of the wedding. Hi groom, I'm very sorry to have to do this, but I'm going to have to step down as a groomsman and will not be attending your wedding. I know none of this is your fault and I'm so sorry my ex has caused so much drama about your wedding, which should be about you as a couple and not our past relationship. Unfortunately, her harassment of me and my girlfriend have made it impossible. At this point, it would be hugely disrespectful of me to attend the wedding without my girlfriend, as the implication is that I accept ex-girlfriend's treatment of us, which I do not. I'm hopeful that this actually reduces stress for you at your wedding and avoids all potential drama on the day, which again should be about you. We wish you the best and hope you have an amazing and special day. Not the a-hole. After being told he was not getting a +1, did your boyfriend drop out himself, or is he still going? Are the bride and groom aware of the extent Rachel has gone to drive a wedge in your relationship? It seems like a weird stance to support a couple getting married when said couple supports someone trying to break you up. Asking your boyfriend not to attend is a reasonable request, all things considered. If I were in your boyfriend's position, I would sit with the couple and show them all the harassing texts from Rachel. I would explain that I support their relationship and I hope that the respect goes both ways. That being said, they can't honestly expect him to attend a wedding without his partner. Don't ask for a +1. It's their wedding after all, but they can't get upset when people choose not to come. Opie replies, he doesn't know if he's going or not and wants to talk to the groom first before making a decision. After our last discussion, he's leaning towards my side. I'm honestly not sure how much the bride and groom know of his ex's actions. I do know that the groom knows his ex contacted me via Instagram though. Alright, a quick update first. My boyfriend talked to the groom. Due to the budget, they had to limit +1s to couples who live together or will be travelling out of town to attend. The wedding is being paid for by the bride's family. It seems like they had an input on who was invited. The groom did not know the full extent of Rachel's behaviour towards me and my boyfriend. The groom was also surprised to hear that Rachel told my boyfriend in April he would not be getting a +1 as they had not decided at that time. My boyfriend did come to see that it was disrespectful for the bride and groom to not allow him to have a +1, even if his ex was not attending. The wedding party should have priority over regular guests. With that being said, he does not want to completely burn a bridge with the groom, which I don't want that to happen either. We both agreed it would be fine for him to attend the ceremony but skip the reception. The groom said I would be allowed to attend the rehearsal dinner and welcome party. As far as Rachel, my boyfriend plans to ignore her and immediately shut down any of her antics. My boyfriend is truly disgusted with Rachel and her psychotic behaviour. Ultimately, she wanted to break things up between me and my boyfriend, but she's only made us stronger. Opie adds a little info. My boyfriend was never told he would be receiving a +1. The bride and groom told him in February that they did not know who would be invited at that time. I just wanted to reiterate this in case it was not clear in my original post. And when asked what happened with Sam and the ex, they didn't hook up whenever we were on the break. They just went to a bar for drinks. Afterwards, they met up with the bride and groom since they're all friends. My boyfriend said it was a bit awkward and didn't even know Rachel had any interest in getting back together until she found out we had gotten back together. Alright, let's find out what happened at the wedding. Another update, 2 months later. This is the final update regarding the wedding since it was this past weekend. Buckle up, because it's a long one. Backstory, my boyfriend was asked to be a groomsman in a wedding where his ex-girlfriend was a bridesmaid. His ex harassed him for months even though he didn't respond. She reached out to me via Instagram. She's been trying to break us up and get him back, and she told me on Instagram that she doesn't want to be around us during the wedding as it would be distracting. The groom told my boyfriend months ago that I would be allowed to attend the rehearsal dinner, welcome party, and part of the reception. We were told I would not be allowed to attend the ceremony or dinner portion of the reception due to the budget. After the formalities are completed, I will be allowed to attend. A week before the wedding, the groom invited my boyfriend to brunch on Sunday, the day after the wedding. He said it was going to be a super casual thing. I, however, was not invited to this brunch. My boyfriend reassured me he would not be attending without me. During the wedding rehearsal, my boyfriend decided to double check with the groom about me coming to the rehearsal dinner. Turns out I had been uninvited from the dinner. We were informed of this 30 minutes before the start. The groom told my boyfriend I did not have a seat, but he would love to have me at the welcome party afterwards. My boyfriend skipped the rehearsal dinner. We ended up going to a local bar until the welcome party started. Once we got to the welcome party, the groom came up to me and apologized for the politics. He told me he was happy I was there and looked forward to having me at the reception tomorrow. 2 people commented on us missing the rehearsal dinner, but I just changed the subject. After the welcome party ended, we all rallied to a bar close by. I was standing at the bar talking to one of the guests when the bride inputted herself into our conversation. The bride would only look at and talk to the other girl, even though I was adding input into the conversation. It was just like the interview Chastity Fla did with Blake Lively. I felt so uncomfortable that I ended up walking away. The next day before the wedding, I met up for brunch with the girl. She informed me that as soon as I walked away, the bride started talking crap about me. The bride told her I was originally invited to the wedding, but that Rachel, my boyfriend's ex, said that she would not be able to handle it, so I was uninvited from the wedding. The girl said it seemed like the bride was trying to get her to not be friends with me and to exclude me. She said it seemed like the bride was trying to get her to take Rachel's side as well. The bride admitted she was being petty, but that she didn't care. Mind you, I'd just met this girl, and we were just casually chatting at the bar. Why the bride wanted to focus on causing drama and excluding me the night before her wedding is beyond me. Like, girl, focus on getting married. Around 8 PM is when all the formalities were finished, and I was able to attend. I'm not going to lie, dancing with my boyfriend in front of his ex-girlfriend felt extremely good. I swear we did not do it on purpose, but whenever his ex went, we were always right there. She could not avoid us, even if she tried. At one point, the bride and groom were in the center dancing. I was directly across from his ex in her line of sight. She completely turned her back, just so that she couldn't see me, even though everyone else was facing forward. The only people who would talk to us were the other groomsmen and their dates. We ended up telling several of them the full story because they had no idea, so the whole night felt like sweet revenge. I will say many times the groom came up to me and said he was happy I was there. Whether he meant it or it was performative, I have no idea. I also don't care at this point. The only reason my boyfriend did not drop out of the wedding was because we were told I was not invited due to the budget. We were assured several times that it had nothing to do with his ex. If my boyfriend had been given the full truth, he would have dropped out. Whenever I found out the truth, it was already too late. My boyfriend was at the venue taking pictures and the wedding was starting in an hour. Once the couple gets back from their honeymoon, I and my boyfriend plan on having a conversation with the groom. My boyfriend said he will be re-evaluating their friendship. Opie clarifies. Sorry, I didn't make it clear, but I was not allowed to attend the dinner portion of the reception. I was only allowed to attend when all the formalities were completed, eating, speeches, etc., and the dancing had begun. One comment says, "You guys are both dumb as rocks if you think any of these people are currently your friends or will continue to be your friends in the future, so please stop excusing their crappy behavior for budget reasons. It's obvious you were not wanted in the wedding, and both of you should have skipped the event. A real friend would have made you comfortable and not made you feel excluded." Opie replies, "Thankfully, after all of this, my boyfriend does see that the groom does not care about him as much as he thought." Sounds like you have an amazing, supportive boyfriend. So refreshing to hear a man sticking with his partner through the nonsense. That bride isn't going to have an incredibly happy marriage after she willfully tried to sabotage someone else's relationship on her wedding day. That can't be the start of something successful. I'm hoping the groom had nothing to do with it, but I'm sure he knew about the situation since his wife was the one scheming. But it did seem like he didn't want to be a part of it with the way he was talking to you and your boyfriend. He probably just let her do whatever she wanted so she'd shut the F up. Either way, F them all. You win in the end. Give your boyfriend a big kiss from Reddit. He did well. Opie replies, "My boyfriend really does have my back. I'm so thankful for him. As for the groom, I will say he truly is a nice guy. I do think that he was aware of everything going on, but he's the only reason I was able to attend some of the wedding weekend." Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, I can't help but feel like the groom is realizing all this bad behavior from his wife and is just willfully ignoring it. Like he's about to get married to this toxic woman and he's just sticking his fingers in his ears and going la 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 la. Oh well bro, you do you. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below guys, let me know. Otherwise, we're moving on to another story. Alrighty, on the same subreddit, this one was written by user FunFix, and it's titled, "Am I the a-hole for marrying a man who proposed to me while I was on the toilet?" It's not as bad as it sounds. My friends are just obsessed with that part, I think. Fake names. My 32 female fiance Peter, 30, had arranged a candlelight dinner in a hotel room. There were flowers, rose petals, and music. There was my favourite dinner and my favourite dessert. Peter was in a tuxedo. I was wearing a dress. That evening was so amazing. While I was eating, my IBS started acting up. I ran to the bathroom. It was mortifying, but at least I was comfortable enough with Peter to allow him to come in. I was apologising for ruining our evening while I was on the toilet, and he said it's okay. I felt like he wanted to ask me to marry him the whole evening. I told him I love him, and he said I love you too. I told him, I'm sure you'll take care of me in sickness and in health. That comment made Peter smile, and he got down on one knee. I didn't care that this was the situation. I was so happy to say yes. I felt like he wouldn't have asked that evening if I didn't say the in sickness and in health comment. I told my best friend Kate, 33, and another friend Bailey, 33. I told them the truth. Kate said it's weird, creepy, and an a-hole move on his part. I explained that he likely would have put it off if I didn't mean the health comment. Kate said I was desperate and that I should have some respect for myself. Bailey said if I thought Peter would ask another time, then I should have let him ask another time. Before talking to them, I thought I had the sweetest proposal story. Now I feel like an a-hole who caused my amazing fiancé to have a terrible story. Am I the a-hole? No way. If it's sweet for you, then who cares what other people think? I think it's a great story personally. Let's go to the comments. This is the cutest story. Your friends are actually just jealous because they don't have someone who loves them and will put up with their crap. He's an absolute keeper, OP. Congratulations on your engagement. Not the a-hole. A lot of women have very rigid ideas about what's romantic. Don't listen to them. I was once told by a female co-worker that it was terrible my boyfriend had gotten me a car battery for Christmas. It was what I'd asked for, since I hate dealing with car stuff. He even installed it for me. After I explained this, she told me I was wrong to have wanted this. We never talked much after that. Your story sounds very sweet to me, and your fiancé sounds like the kind of guy who'll stick with you when things are crappy. Sorry, couldn't resist. Mine stuck with me through cancer, by the way. That's way more important than a bunch of lacy hearts and flowers crap. Girlie, this is such a cute proposal. This proposal shows he planned it, he was ready, but he recognized the need to shift gears without making you feel guilty. I also have IBS, and my husband and I love going out for long drives, like 6+ hours in the mountains. He set up a travel toilet for me of a bucket and trash bag in our slide-in camper. That way I could have privacy and not have to panic set something up if my body decided to sabotage the day. Some people forget that marriage is more than a perfect proposal you can post photos of on Instagram, and it's more than a perfect showy wedding that is sure to impress. Your marriage is about you and your future husband building a life together, having someone you know will have your back through thick and thin, your teammate. Any man who can turn an IBS flare-up into a happy moment is a keeper in my book. I wish you two a very long and happy life together. You're definitely not the a-hole. Opie gives an update and further context. The proposal happened on Saturday and I'd been holding off telling my parents and Peter's parents. Both sets of parents live in a different state. Tonight we told my parents first via video chat. My parents are Bob, 58, and Susan, 58. My mum is a massive fan of romance and I knew she would ask about the proposal. Peter and I told my parents the whole proposal story. My mum was over the moon. She said proposing like that is better than any idea she had. My dad said it just proves the love Peter has for me. My mum asked if she could tell others, and I said sure. I had asked my mum to be my maid of honour. After getting engaged, my pick for maid of honour was either going to be Kate or my mum. I didn't pick my mum to spite Kate. I'm not punishing Kate. Kate's initial reaction to the proposal story would just make her being the maid of honour awkward. Plus, my mum is so happy with our union and she would love to plan a wedding. Then we told Peter's parents via video chat. His parents are Chuck, 55, and Linda, 59. His parents really appreciated the comedy. Chuck thanked us for giving them the gift of telling that amazing story, if we're comfortable with that. I told him we're confused. Linda said she's so happy for us. Peter told his father that he wants him to be the best man. Lastly, we told Peter's sister, Juliana, 27, via video chat as she lives in another state. She had her father's sense of humour. I hope Kate and Bailey will be bridesmaids. Yes, Kate and Bailey are single. I've been best friends with Kate since the 9th grade, so this little disagreement wouldn't ruin our friendship. Further update, Kate and Bailey both agreed to be bridesmaids when I asked via message. Kate apologised via message and she also sent me a video of her apologising. Kate said she appreciates that I'm still letting her be a key part of the wedding. She said that after several days of thinking about the proposal, she realizes how loving it was. She said if she had IBS, she would appreciate a guy who treats her like how Peter treats me. Bailey apologized via message. Her apology was brief, and she admitted in it that Kate told her to apologize. At least it was an apology, I suppose. On to another update. Thank you to all the amazing people who gave me support on my original post. After Kate's apology message and apology video, I messaged back that I forgave her with a link to my original post. She said she really wanted to talk face to face. We went to the gym today, even though I was feeling like I was going to get an IBS flare-up. We talked while we worked out. Kate said that she was upset when she heard my proposal story, and that she didn't understand why she was so upset at the time. She confessed that when she had processed her feelings, she realized it was intense jealousy. Kate revealed to me for the first time that she was diagnosed with IBS a few months ago. She said hers is not as severe as mine. She said this has been a scary time for her, especially since she's watched me suffer so much from it all these years. Kate said she would want that proposal for herself. She said she wishes she could be that comfortable with a man. She said the comments on my original post made her feel hopeful. She said looking up on IBS more online has made her feel hopeful as well. Kate had explicitly asked me to make this upset post. She apologized again. She said she's glad that my mum is the maid of honor instead of her. She said she's happy for me, but also very jealous. Kate says that despite the fact Bailey had sent an apology message too, Bailey still feels awkward talking to me. Kate said that Bailey will come around, that Bailey is just too embarrassed right now after how she acted. I asked Kate if she looked up how common IBS is, and she said she looked that up after seeing the comments in my original post. She said she was shocked by how common it is. She said she was avoiding learning about it as she was scared of what she might find. I made sure to tell her that a guy has never dumped me over my IBS. She knows that I'd messed around with an embarrassing amount of guys before meeting Peter. I told Kate the reason those hookups never progressed to anything real was because I was too ashamed to let a guy see the IBS part of my life. I told Kate that the person who told me I was ugly and nasty more than anyone was myself. Kate said she hasn't mentally adjusted to this yet, but she thinks she can. I told her she's my best friend, I love her, and that I will help her through this. I made a joke about poopy girls having to stick together, and that made her smile. After the gym, I rushed home to the toilet to deal with the IBS flare-up I felt coming. To no one's surprise, Peter took care of me when he came home from work. He even helped me to take a bath as I was experiencing so much discomfort. I want everyone to know Kate has been an amazing friend to me. The disagreement that was at the center of my original post was extremely out of character for her. I had made that post asking if I was wrong because Kate has always been very reasonable. Even with IBS, I'm happy. I have amazing friends, an amazing family, and obviously an amazing fiancé. So if you don't hear much from me on Reddit, don't worry. I'm probably just living an amazing life, even when I'm stuck on the toilet. Haha, that's great, and good to hear that Kate owned up to what she said. Yeah, I think we all had a feeling it was something like jealousy. Okay, now for a final update. Right now, suffering from one of the worst IBS flare-ups of my life, plus I have one whopper of a cold. But I have good news. Both Kate and Bailey visited me. Bailey now knows about Kate's IBS from Kate. I was so sick I was laying in bed with my friends visited. Peter was there to help me, of course. Bailey actually cried as she gave her first face-to-face apology for her reaction to my proposal story. She apologized to both Peter and I. She even hugged me despite the fact that I have a cold. Peter and I both accepted Bailey's apology. I told Bailey that she doesn't have to be embarrassed to talk to me. My friends and I talked for a little before I needed to go to the bathroom. They wished me well before leaving. Peter took care of me, of course. I'm glad that I'm on good terms with both of my closest friends. Oh, what a great ending. Let's read some final comments. My grandparents got engaged in the bathroom, not on the toilet, but she had a small apartment where the only sink was in the bathroom, and they were washing dishes after a dinner date. I guess that moment of domesticity moved my grandma to declare that she hoped one day she'd be Mrs., Grandpa's name, to which he responded, "Well, sure, but now how are you going to tell our grandkids someday that we got engaged in the bathroom?" Reader, she told her grandkids that story many times with a twinkle in her eye. Not gonna lie, that is sweet and absolutely freaking hilarious at the same time. As someone diagnosed with IBS, sometimes you can't control it and it's gross, but that doesn't mean you have to miss important moments in life. I like these people, talking things out, recognizing their shortcomings and working through them, apologizing. Is this seriously Reddit? Do these people really exist on this site? They do, commenter, but they are few and far in between, that's for sure. Either way, I was a fan of that story. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below. Either way, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.